The Secrets of Stargate is brought to you by the StarQuest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous patrons. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit sqpn.com/give.
You're listening to The Secrets of Stargate, Episode 63.
Lieutenant West, Jackson has identified the seventh symbol.
All right, here we go. We are about to try to make a connection.
All we gotta do is bust out of here, commandeer the ship, and fly on home.
Indeed. You say that a lot.
I know that this could be dangerous. But this is our job, right? It's what we signed on to do.
It was never about going home. It's about getting us to where we're going.
Hi, I'm Jack Baruzzini, and you're listening to The Secrets of Stargate, where we talk about the hidden meanings and deeper layers found in the Stargate movies, TV series, and more. And joining me today are Father Cory Sticha. Hi, Father.
Howdy, Jack.
And Lisa Jones. Hi, Lisa.
Hey, Jack.
And Victor Lambs. Hey, Victor.
Hi, Jack.
Before we jump into the show, I want to let everyone know that you can go over to sqpn.com/merch, and there you can pick up all the SQPN merch, including Secrets of Stargate, Secrets of Star Wars, Secrets of Star Trek, Jimmy Akin's Mysterious World, and all the shows at StarQuest. Today we are discussing the 21st episode of Season 3, Crystal Skull. You want to give us a rundown of this episode, Victor?
Yes. Indiana Jones teams up with Mutt Williams to... Oh, wait, wrong. Wrong Crystal Skull.
Oh, wait. No, wait. There's no Indiana Jones movie called it Crystal Skull. That movie doesn't exist.
What are you talking about?
No, it does not.
Yeah, I ordered the complete Indiana Jones DVD set, and it came with 3 pretty good movies and a coaster for my drink. So there you go.
Apparently.
Yeah. All right. Anyways, there's intrigue on P7X377 as the Mount probe discovers an ancient Mayan pyramid, which is over 1,000 meters high. And within the giant neutrino-filled cavern inside, alone on a pedestal, sits a crystal skull, not unlike the one Daniel Jackson's own grandfather, Nicholas Ballard, discovered in Belize in 1971. Grandpa Nick believed that when he looked into the eyes of the skull, he was transported to an alien world and giant aliens spoke to him, and then he went crazy. Meanwhile, SG-1 visits the pyramid cavern to investigate, and as Daniel looks into the eyes of the skull, muon radiation begins to build in the cavern. Daniel doesn't respond to calls to evacuate, so Teal blasts the skull with his Zat gun, and Daniel is knocked unconscious, disappears from sight, and everyone gates back home without him. Again. Only this time they all have acute radiation poisoning. Eventually, Teal'c revisits the planet to collect the crystal skull in order to determine what happened to Daniel. Daniel figures out that Teal'c can't see him and follows him back through the gate. At the SGC, Seiler and Rothman team up to try and figure out how the skull works, and Daniel comes to terms with the fact that he is, for all intents and purposes, a ghost. Eventually, SG-1 decides to visit Nicholas Ballard in his insane asylum or mental institution. I didn't mean to be... But Nick can see and hear Daniel, but thinks he's hallucinations, so he doesn't mention this until the start of the final act. Nick, Daniel, and SG-1 revisit the planet, place the skull back on the pedestal, and when Daniel looks into the eyes, everyone but Teal'c becomes invisible, the giant aliens appear, and they choose Nick to stay behind and learn from the giant aliens, while everyone else presumably becomes visible again and goes home.
That pretty much sums it up, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of plot going on in this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 50% of a good episode and 50% of terrible episode. That's how I would say
that wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
I wouldn't give it that bad. I mean, it wasn't that bad. But...
I don't know, yeah. What are your thoughts on the episode, Father Cory?
This is one of these I like. I mean, yeah, it's not the most hardcore episode by any stretch of the imagination, but it's all right. I mean, this is no different than the Star Trek, the transporter malfunction, and so is out of phase. How they didn't drop out of the ship is another story. That kind of episode. But
yeah.
It's not a bad episode. I mean, after all, we find out, according to Jack, that Nintendo's pass through everything. So, I mean, make sure you throw your Nintendos at someone so it can pass through them. But beyond that, I mean, it's okay. It's a fine episode. I don't mind it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. My biggest issue was the actor they cast for Daniel's grandfather. That was really where it fell off for me. What about you, Lisa?
I asked my teens today about this one, and they said, oh, it's another episode where Daniel does something he shouldn't be doing. And then they spend the whole episode trying to right the wrong that Daniel did. So I thought that was a very interesting way to look
That's a
at
good
it.
summary.
Yeah, that's,
Although I
You
think
can say
Teal
there's
kind
not
of,
a lot of Daniel love in my house.
I think Teal
But
bears
actually,
some of the
I really-
responsibility
Yeah.
in this one.
I really like this episode. I can see what you're saying, Jack, about the actor, just the slowness of his acting, or like he's not doesn't really care all the time. But I took that as like he's supposed to be mentally unstable or thinks he is. But I actually think it's the dialogue is written pretty well for this. You have some really nice back and forth and quips, and for such a plot heavy episode, I felt like it kept moving. You didn't, you didn't get, there's so many that we've like, oh gosh, it was so boring. No, it kept moving. It was fun. We got a little more of Dr. Rothman, which I really don't need. But with him and his Afrin, seriously, right? But it was fun. I like this.
yeah, it was funny to see Dr. Rothman back and just how incredibly inept he was. And so it really makes sense that he's not going to go far in this organization.
It's like, oh
He
yeah,
was
it
right,
still looks like
though.
it was made in China. Yeah, I'm sure it was made in China, something like
No,
that.
Yeah.
but I mean, he was right. The skull itself is just a skull, right? I mean, by itself, it doesn't do anything. And so he was right about that. But I did agree with Sergeant Seiler's assessment that you're probably going to get fired. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tyler doesn't like you. That's not a good sign,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, no. What about you, Victor?
Yeah, this is one of the episodes that I remembered being kind of dull and slow paced, and I wasn't really looking forward to watching it again. And maybe it's because now that we're watching all of these in sequence and we have to watch some of the truly like dull and slow paced ones, this one I liked it a lot more this time around. I mean, I even liked Jan Rubes as Nicholas Ballard. I thought he was, the old guy who he sees Daniel, but he doesn't know if he's hallucinating, and he's just kind of the Ernest Littlefield of this episode. And I really enjoyed it. I think they cover a lot of ground. It's just a very comfy, cozy episode there. There's a lot of like fun little in jokes and continuity goofs we can get into and stuff with this one, but yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I almost feel like I really like the concept of him like having to communicate with his grandfather, who he's estranged from, and they don't really have a good relationship. But I wish we'd had some of that built up previously, so it made it what might have like meant more, or even it would have been cool. And of course, this wouldn't work because his parents got squished by the rock, by the styrofoam. I'm sorry. But to even have like maybe like his dad.
Curse you, Jake.
Hey,
Yeah.
I'm Team Jake. It's okay.
Jake, yeah.
Have them be one of the ones who was actually brought back. Like maybe, I don't know. I'm just thinking of like an alternate episode where maybe they were actually trapped in this alternate timeline and gets to reunite with his parents, or something that really would have had more impact to the character rather than introducing this character and then having it pay off at the end.
And a character we don't see ever again. So
Right. Exactly.
I did kind of like that his grandfather had this crazy thing happen to him and had this experience of aliens, and no one believes him, and he is ruined scientifically. He's this, archaeologist and all that, or obviously archaeologist, explorer, or whatever. And then, there's that parallel that the same thing happened to Daniel.
Yeah.
With, the aliens. Only on this one, they expanded his theory. In the movie, it was just that the pyramids were built by aliens, possibly. And then in this one, he actually said that they were landing sites for the alien ship. So, and no one believed him, and he was tossed out academically, blah, blah. So I thought that was kind of a nice parallel, and the fact that neither one believed the other.
Right.
Was kind of a...
Yeah, it's
a
like
neat twist
Daniel
to the
didn't believe that he had seen aliens, and Nick didn't believe that Daniel thought that the pyramids were used as docking stations for the aliens. And it turns out both were right. And that, of course,
Right.
they mentioned that in the episodes, like, we're both right. This is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Grandpa Nick does apologize for not, adopting Daniel after his parents got squished, because he was so wrapped up in his theories and stuff. And you can totally see Daniel not adopting, if he had a niece or nephew that needed, he wouldn't do it either, because he's so wrapped up in, what he's doing. But we do get one of the things I did like about this episode, and this is where watching it, on high, bigger TVs now with the ability to pause and stuff. We get that slideshow at the beginning where they're showing all the different crystal skulls. And if you pause and read, it's actually quite humorous. One of them, they show, you pause it, it says it's the chimichanga skull excavation. So nice. Chimichanga, not a place, it's a food. And then another one is referred to as the Los Lobos skull.
Great
after
band.
the band. Yep. And then you get a paragraph of text and it says, this skull is difficult to quantify, because we don't know what it's made of. And this is attributable to to mistakes on the part of the compiler of this database. So it's like the person preparing the slides was just like saying, we don't know what this one is because because the person putting this database together is incompetent. So
ready to clock out.
So that part, So that was pretty fun. Whenever a bunch of text appears on the screen, you have to pause it and read it.
It is amazing the amount of detail they put into some of these shows, knowing that at the time this was coming out, a lot of people still had the old CRT televisions. I mean, they might have been good CRT televisions. They might have been, higher end, like the Sony Trintrons and things like that. But they weren't, 1080p or 4K TVs like we have today.
No, it's fun to see, like, you look back at a lot of shows and they'll put in all these in-jokes in the on-screen displays or in the text that you would not be able to pick up at the time. Like, I think there's an episode of, and they actually had to deal with this when they did the remastering of Next Generation, because there's so many in-jokes, including things that they could not show on screen because it was obscene or it was copyrighted. On like the LCARS displays that they would show. And then when they went and did the whole remastering where they put it in HD, they had to go in and actually change what was on the display because it was either copyrighted. Like one of them was all the crew of a ship were just characters from Doctor Who. And then another one was like a bunch of obscene references.
I want to know which one that was. That's cool.
I'll have to find it out, but it was like all the different like actors who played the Doctor were the crew of the ship. And then another one was like stuff they couldn't broadcast on TV, but again, when it's 480, you're not going to see it.
I mean, that's like there's a episode later coming on, the time loop episode where Jack and Tilk are caught in a time loop. And, one of the things is Jack is learning Latin, and the author of it is Joseph Malzani, who of course was Dr. Joseph Malzani, who of course is one of the, the executive producers of SG-1. Little details like that you might not have noticed on a regular TV, but of course on, as you're watching it on high definition or you're watching it on, on your computer or whatever through streaming, it's like, oh yeah, hey, I know that name.
Yeah. Especially nowadays with the fact that you can just copy and paste the text right from your screen and search it.
Yeah, exactly.
I think they did a really good job with the Crystal Skull prop itself. This is back before, Dan Aykroyd came out with his vodka, so you couldn't just grab a vodka bottle and chop the top off of it. He was selling Crystal.
I didn't know that.
He was selling Crystal Skull vodka for a while. Yeah.
I'd seen it. I just didn't know it was him.
Yeah, I don't drink, but I kind of want to buy a bottle just because it looks so cool.
They're cool looking bottles. They really are. I never got one, but they are cool looking bottles.
Only then we get this moment where Teal goes to retrieve the skull with like a little yellow Pelican, hard case that is clearly too small to contain the skull. So whenever they show him putting the skull into the case, he can't close it completely. And so he's running off with this case that's half open. And then in the next scene, they've taken the skull out and closed the case. But it happens like 3 times in the episode. If you watch the skull's like, he's running around with this open case. And then in the next scene, it's too small. And you're like, well, maybe it is bigger on the inside. So.
Hey, there you go. I like how, when they get to the planet, they go into the massive pyramid through the big walkway. And I really liked all that. Like the digital
it looked great.
They did. Yeah, it looked really good. It was cool to see. I liked the whole environment. It almost reminded me of like Myst or something like that. Like,
yeah.
I want there to be a point and click adventure game based on this planet. But
I will say, of course, the big thing now is they do the virtual sets where they've got just basically a room where it's got all, high definition screens around. And frankly, this looked as good when they were sitting in that temple. It looked as good as some of those virtual sets do. I mean, it's really impressive what they were able to do for being 30 years ago, almost 25, 30 years ago.
The first time when they come back and they're all walking through it again, They think they cheaped out towards the end, but the first time when they show it, they're like doing the camera movements and they're tracking the CG with the camera and stuff. And yeah, I mean that was really hard to do when not everything was computer controlled, and that looks really good. But then at the end, when they're showing,
the second time, of course, they've got the CGI alien that they had to add in there too, and that really threw it off.
Oh yeah,
he's awesome though. I love how
for the time it looked amazing, but again, for the time.
But the best part is like he comes out and he does this impressive like alien talking, and then like the humans have to talk for a little while, and the alien, they show the cut of the alien in the background, and he's like paying attention to him for a minute, and then he just kind of starts to spin around and like go off and do his own thing.
I'm bored.
In the background.
Let me know when you want to talk to me again.
And I was like, I feel you, giant alien. Yeah.
I like how
Did y'all see who did his voice?
Oh, I did not.
Did y'all see who did his voice?
Mm-mm.
It was Christopher Judge.
Yeah. I wonder if it was.
Funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's done a lot of voice acting. Like he's Kratos in all the gods of God of War games. So
Yeah.
done a lot of that.
Well, and then I was wondering, like old theater trick, did they have to like get him off the like you leave, and then like all of a sudden he's doing the voice of the alien? And I was like, no, they could have just overdubbed it. They didn't need him to leave to do the voice of the alien.
They
right?
would have just had some guy, assistant or whatever read the lines while they're filming. Yeah.
So I like how it's the first time they go into the pyramid, Daniel has told them this whole history of his grandfather, Nick, with the crystal skull and all that. And he's like, he looked right into the eyes and he disappeared. And the first thing Daniel does is go up to the skull and stare right into the eyes. It's like, you knew not to do that.
Because that's what Daniel does.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's just asking
if
for
it works.
And this is another Daniel is dead or is he episode. I mean,
yeah.
Well, like they don't even entertain the thought that he's dead this time because they know he's not. I mean, they're like, he probably was transported someplace or,
Right.
But I think Teal kind of bears some of the responsibility for shooting the like clearly alien device with an energy weapon when it's doing something you don't know what it's doing. I mean, it could have like made it go nuclear or something. And
yeah, they're already dealing with like high levels of radiation. So who knows? But hey,
Did y'all notice that? So Daniel disappears. Don't know where he is. We got to work to get him back. And this is, I don't know, 4 or 5 episodes after 100 days where, Carter worked through the night for 100 days.
Yeah.
Back, right. And then it's like,
and they so called that out too, where it's like Jack is like, "Oh, I'm going home, go bed."
Right.
And Daniel's like, "I would have stayed up all night for you."
Right.
You're not working through the night? Yeah.
Y'all don't really miss me, huh?
I think they're just used to this with Daniel. Yeah.
Right. Well, they even make a joke, don't they? I can't remember what it is about. Did you feel something? And then then he's sitting there waiting, like, oh, they can feel my presence. Yeah. And they were like, or it was something I ate, whatever.
Well, there's when he followed Teal'c back through the Stargate, and literally the Stargate shuts off as he walks through it.
Yeah.
Like he jumps out of it and immediately it shuts off.
It's like,
it's just like, hey, wait a second.
Yeah. We get some good Jack lines. He's not the central of this, but when they first walk into the pyramid and he's like, "Can you imagine heating this place?" Some good moments with Jack and Fraser as they're recovering from being poisoned by the radiation, and he calls her a Napoleonic power monger.
Well, I love it after Nick reveals that he can see Daniel, and they're sitting in the conference room, and of course they don't believe, and it's like, Jack, don't be an ass. Yeah. Daniel?
Yeah.
Yeah. I do feel like they kind of moved to that conclusion too quickly. Like they went straight from, we don't know where Daniel is, to he can talk to his grandfather and here he is. Like I feel like they could have maybe done a little bit more with that, but I understand like with the constraints you have, 45 minutes, but
yeah.
Well,
they had to move on to the next.
And they did the old thing of that Daniel happened to be in there when General Hammond became Teddy Bear Grandpa Hammond, and could describe the whole conversation,
Yeah.
Talking to his granddaughters on the red phone.
Yep.
And I think we get a joke about this later on where someone's like one of the evil colonels we get later walks in and says like, and if you don't agree with my orders, you can just like press speed dial on
No,
that
that
red
was
phone of yours.
earlier.
Was that,
That was
previously?
earlier.
Oh,
'Cause
okay.
that was when Jack was gonna, ratting out NID, and he he
that's
said,
right.
well, you just press the first button on your phone. And he's like, my granddaughter.
Oh,
The
okay.
second button, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we already got that.
Yep.
Nice.
Oh boy. But yeah, I did like the moment where it's been like a day and a half, and finally Daniel figures out that his grandfather can see him, and it's like, why didn't you tell me? And he's like, I thought you were a hallucination. He's like, you're not hallucinating. And he says, well, hallucinations always say that, which is
Not this time.
yeah. But yeah.
No, yeah, I like that, and it's funny. Like his grandfather almost, like he seems like he's not all there, but it almost seems like he just is just done with everything.
Yep.
Just tired. Yeah.
They did say he checked himself in, and so that was probably like, depending on when that happened, like if Daniel wasn't speaking to him and he had no family, and no reputation,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
No, yeah, definitely would put a damper on all those kind of relationships. But
Exactly.
I like I want to. This is one of the things I want to see more of. Is like you get these big planets with these strange civilizations, and you don't really know a lot about them, and it'd be cool to see like what else have they done? Are they branching out in the universe at all? Because I would assume that the aliens probably know the Stargate is there. Have they not investigated it at all? Like you don't really get anything filled in on that, but that's just cool to speculate about.
Well, they're enemies of the Gould. We know that.
Right.
Well, and
Because-
we know that they've had some interaction with Earth because they speak Mayan.
Yeah.
So does that mean they dealt with the Mayan culture when the Earth Stargates were available?
That is true, yeah. And did they pick that language up from the people, or did they give that language to the people?
Right. Exactly. So
Yeah, a lot goes unanswered in this, as I don't think we see these.
no, we don't see
anymore.
the smoke alien CGI ever again. I don't remember for sure, but I don't think so.
Yeah.
We don't see Nick anymore either, and it's kind of neat that now he's like out of phase with our reality. He doesn't need to eat or sleep, and so like they don't need to worry about feeding him on the planet. He just kind of hangs out there, learning from the giant aliens for a while.
Doesn't have to change his clothes. Doesn't have to do any of that kind of stuff. He's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder how that all works, because I would assume if you're out of phase with our reality, you're still real on some level of existence. So do you not need any sort of sustenance or anything?
But is it out of phase, or is it something, in another dimension?
Yeah, he's on a higher plane. He maybe it's more like being a ghost really than being out of phase.
Half ascended?
Yeah.
Now, I did see that we hear about the giant aliens again in season 10, but I couldn't remember.
I don't remember much about season 10, to be honest with you. I hate to say, as much as I love this series, season 10 is kind of forgettable.
A blur. Okay, anyone listening, leave us a comment
Exactly.
if you remember these giant aliens mentioned in season 10. And be sure to listen when we get around to recording season 10.
That's right.
That's right.
It's not fun.
Yeah.
So he was Quetzalcoatl. Okay. I didn't pick up that that's who it was supposed to be.
Mm. Oh yeah. Did they mention his? I don't think they mentioned.
No, they didn't. So I don't know. Maybe.
No, they didn't give him any kind of name or anything like that. He was just the smoke alien.
He was
okay.
Base model 3D guy. Turn the transparency on. There you go.
Yep. There was some good humor in this. I get a kick out of O'Neill's like, oh yeah, I'm good to go. I'm going to get out of bed, and immediately face plants on the floor.
Yeah.
That was a
and
funny
then Jill
moment.
picks him up and just throws him on the bed.
Yeah.
And when he says, Frasier was right, and what does Silk say? Generally, she is about these matters.
She normally is. Yeah.
I like that physical humor. That was nice.
Yep.
I also like that Jack says something nice about Daniel in the presence of Daniel without him knowing that Daniel's actually there.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, Daniel's the only one who can solve this.
Oh.
Yeah.
Which Daniel was there to say that. I kind of doubt he would have said that if Daniel had been there.
Yeah, well, it helped the team to get a taste of what alternate Daniel would be like if they didn't have Daniel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that I was done.
Again, Rothman wasn't wrong about anything. It's just a normal crystal skull. He didn't exactly look for answers, but I mean, but
I think he probably was collecting his severance pay pretty soon after this.
yeah.
Yep.
No, he sticks around a little bit longer, but
I think we see him again. Don't
yep.
we?
Really?
On the Unas episode, I think.
shocking.
Yeah.
I get a kick though. The Siler plays just like completely out of character, but he's in this,
Mhm.
just, kind of, be kind of a punchline of like, yeah, you're going to be fired.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good.
And is this
Well,
the,
did you
oh,
think,
go ahead.
why was Siler the one helping Rothman?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Does anyone know what Siler's job actually is?
He's
Besides
a technician. He's just
Yeah, he's a
gonna
tech
be there.
sergeant, yeah.
technician, like,
He
okay.
does what I do at my job, which is everything that people need you to do whenever they need you to do it.
In the military, they always put on at the end of your job description and other details as assigned.
Yep.
That's literally
Yeah.
his job description. Other details as assigned.
Yeah, so Carter's in the infirmary and can't science stuff, and so they just need someone to hook electrodes up to the skull and see what happens. And that's Siler. He's good at hooking electrodes up to things, and
And sit there with a laptop.
yeah,
Right.
He's playing
I think
Galaga,
we get-
no one notices.
yeah. And is this the first appearance of Teal'c's fedora that we get?
I think so, yeah.
I was gonna
Yeah,
say, no, you're right. This is the first because you would usually wear like a stocking cap or something.
yeah, or something. Yeah, so I think this might be the first appearance of his fedora.
The brown suit with the fedora.
Yep.
Like that. Like how the nurse asks, "Are you close? Or are you close with him?" And Joke says, "Not at all." And then the other three say, "Extremely."
Extremely, yeah.
Oh, did that nurse look familiar? Because I'm
Oh,
pretty sure that she is the one in next season who says, "And we're walking"
Oh,
in 2010.
Let us.
I don't
see.
remember that.
oh, really?
And
She
we're
is
walking.
airman in
Oh, the,
Chain Reaction and Redemption Part 2 and Sight Unseen,
No, that's not it then.
and Lieutenant
Mm.
Rush.
huh? Yeah, that sounds like a tour guide type.
Yeah, from when they are in the future and they go visit the Stargate. They
Oh,
go
from
visit
the 2010
SG-1.
episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
You're
that's immediately what I thought of when I heard her speak. Was that maybe I'm wrong?
Yeah, she's in 4 other episodes. So
Yeah, she's not in the 2010 episode. No.
Me?
Can't wait till we get to that episode. That's such a fun episode.
does it take place in the year 2010?
Yep.
Far
Which
in
is
the
kind
future?
of weird if you think about it.
Like watching
speaking of-
2001: A Space Odyssey now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Or Space 1999, yeah.
Yeah.
But I did notice though that so they haven't let Nick in on anything, right? And they're supposed to keep it a secret. And yet in the very next scene after Teal'c's wearing the fedora, I think it might even be in the hospital room. Like he has his hat off and has his symbol right there, which,
Maybe he just does like he did in 1969. What was
Yeah.
it?
it's a symbol of servitude to false gods. Yeah.
There you go.
That's what the kids are doing these days.
Yeah.
He did it for TikTok.
Yeah.
Yeah. 3 dances you can do for the giant space aliens. But
So I've been playing a lot of like vintage old PlayStation 1 games recently, and that smoke alien at the very end, the Quetzalcoatl, like just looked like something right out of like one of the old Tomb Raider games.
yeah, it is. Yeah, totally. And if you're playing old PlayStation 1 games, one you need to check out is called Broken Helix. It takes place in Area 51 base, which is very reminiscent of Stargate Command.
Oh, nice.
And
Nice.
there's branching storylines where the government might be involved in conspiracy. There might be aliens. You have to decide if you're going to help the aliens or the government. And the main character is voiced by Bruce Campbell. So
Oh, nice.
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
yeah, check that one out. Yeah.
And there's
Awesome.
this great Game Boy game that's being developed, or has been developed, that's related to something close to Stargate. Someone we might know might be working on it.
Yeah, and I think we actually do have the crystal skull in there in Daniel's office if you get far enough in the game. So
nice.
Look for that on, I think it's like lams.itch.io, lams.itch.io. And I'll finish that eventually. Just need to get back to it here.
Did we I dropped out for a little bit. So did we talk about General Hammond and being super sweet with his granddaughters?
Yeah, we talked about Teddy Bear General Hammond.
But that was my favorite part of the whole episode, is seeing him just completely flip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also that he mentions that Daniel is a close friend.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And I think his granddaughter's names, Kayla and
Tessa,
are one of the producers' children's name.
Nice.
I read that somewhere. I'll have to go back and look.
Yes, it's always fun to see those kind of Easter eggs they got in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nice.
No, I'm sorry. I can't come to your play. One of our actors is being difficult and we need to do a 17th take. All because someone, I'm not naming names, but Richard Dean Anderson thought it would be fun to ad lib. I'm just kidding. But when the producers start to write in, their own family drama into the show.
Nice.
But,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do y'all have any other thoughts on this episode?
Nothing else here.
Yeah, I was not expecting to like it as much as I did, mostly because Victor, you told me it was a terrible episode, but I actually ended up enjoying it.
I've come around on that. I was like watching this. I was like, and I don't know if it's because, like I said, we were watching them all now back to back, and maybe that colors my perception of it. But like whenever this one would just come on or be on, I'd be like, oh, that one again with the old guy. But he's actually more delightful than I remember him being in this. So
yep,
yeah.
Maybe we've all just grown and changed.
I think
as
so.
People in the last 20-something years.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We've seen worse.
It's kind of like realizing the older you get,
Season
the Inner Light episode of TNG is actually not that good.
I don't know if I agree with that, but okay. That's another argument for another day.
That's another podcast argument.
I wasn't a fan when it came out because it interrupted a whole bunch of Romulan and Borg intrigue that was going on.
True.
And it's like,
you didn't like it before. It was cool to not like it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Victor is the edgy one here, right?
Yeah.
Always dissenting opinion.
You can't see it, but I have my baseball cap on backwards here. And
Got a skateboard over his shoulder.
Yeah, I do.
What's up, fellow young people?
Yeah.
He's dabbing over this whole
I'm dabbing,
episode.
yeah.
Yep. Because I think that's still a thing, right?
Don't ask me. I don't even think it was a thing in the first place.
He's planking.
I'm flossing, yeah. Planking and flossing all through the episode.
Oh, I was flossing the other day.
You were?
Yeah, I was.
Are you good at
Not
it?
my teeth. Like I was doing.
I can't do it.
I have a video of me doing it. I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not gonna go.
I wouldn't last 5 minutes in Fortnite. Yeah.
Nice. Yes. On that note, you should all join us over at sqpn.com/discord, where you can keep this party rolling at the Stargate channel over there. It's a lot of fun, so come join us. And before we go, we'd like to take a moment to thank our patrons who make it possible for us to create the Secrets of Stargate, including Donna C., Pat D., Laura M., John and Mary, and Claire L. Their generous donations at sqpn.com/give make it possible for us to continue the Secrets of Stargate and all the shows at StarQuest. And you can join them by visiting sqpn.com/give. And be sure to follow the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or on the SQPN YouTube channel. To find previous episodes of Secrets of Stargate and to send feedback, please visit sqpn.com/Stargate. And you can email us at stargate@sqpn.com or follow StarQuest on social media at facebook.com/StarQuestMedia or on Twitter at SQPN. And we'll be back next time when we'll be discussing the next episode of SG-1, the final episode of Season 3, Nemesis. Until then,
Yay.
Father Cory, thank you for joining me and sharing the secrets of Stargate.
Thanks, Jack.
And Lisa Jones, thank you as well.
Thanks, Jack.
And Victor Lambs, thank you too.
Thanks, Jack. And now we must wait for the giant aliens.
Once again, I'm Jack Baruzzini. Thank you for listening to The Secrets of Stargate on StarQuest.
Anyway, I'm sorry, but that just happens to be how I feel about it. What do you think?